What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are test driving a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xe plug-in hybrid. This happens to be a 2022 model. 4-cylinder turbo engine, battery pack, electric motor. Jeep claims a combined horsepower and torque, 375 horsepower and 470 torque. And let me be the first to say, no, absolutely not does this car have any kind of 375 horsepower or 470 torque. It's not slow, but no. I could buy 307, I think it's 100 high on the torque and at least 75 high on the horsepower. Maybe they're rating it in French horsepowers and torques, since this is now owned by Stellantis, which is some large, unwieldy, international European automotive conglomerate. But yeah, don't worry about that horsepower number. The acceleration's good. I'm not saying it's slow. I'm just saying 375 horsepower and 470 torque implies something that simply is not here. They also allege that it can get up to 40 mpge. I have a feeling it won't do that either, and that's not really total judgment of the car. Jeep Wave, hey. mpge, the E in that phrase is equivalent. So no car usually makes its mpge. It's based on some weird math equation of the cost of electricity versus the cost of a gallon of gas equals that's how much it would have cost you if you were buying gas for the car. I'm going to do a fuel economy test on it later tonight, and that'll be online either now or in a few days from whenever I post this video, if you're watching it right when I first posted it. As far as the driving is concerned, this is the latest generation of Wrangler, the JL Wrangler, and it certainly is the nicest driving Wrangler that has ever been built, which is a little bit like saying you're the nicest guy in prison, because Wranglers have never really been noted for their excellent road manners. They're very good off-road, obviously, but on the road, they typically ride rough, which this one does, although it's definitely smoother than older Wrangler models. The handling is pretty decent in this car. The Wrangler feels small and compact compared to a lot of other SUVs, even though you are riding relatively high. It does feel very maneuverable, and it feels like it changes direction very quickly. I wouldn't want to drive it super fast on a curvy road because I'm sure it's more than possible to roll it over. But the handling under just normal circumstances is good. Again, it's the best Wrangler I've ever driven as far as that goes, but it's also the newest one, so you would expect it to improve over time. I could find no reason to ever recommend this car as a daily driver to anyone unless heavy-duty off-roading was a high level of concern for them. But I get the feeling that the majority of people who buy these cars are just strictly buying it because of the way it looks, which I've never understood. I grew up in a mountain town where we had a lot of Jeeps, we had a lot of CJ5s, CJ7s, and Wranglers. And so I'm used to looking at these things, and I've never thought it was a bad-looking car, but it's just a Jeep. Like, it is what it is. I don't know if it's because Barbie had one back in the day. I don't get it, but it's not mine to get. I mean, if you're in love with the way this car looks and you don't quite want to unroll the wedge for a G-Wagon, which I think is strictly worse looking than this, but another car people really only buy because of how it looks, then okay, I guess you got to get a Wrangler because it definitely is unique looking. But yeah, there's no real practical reason to buy one of these unless you're really going to do a lot of off-roading with it. And you can hit the dislike button and stop watching right now. I don't really care. That's my opinion. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal for all the blonde women that drive these things around Southern California very angrily on the freeways. It's over my head. But let's take it on the freeway just for fun. All right, we get to try out the handling. Took that bump pretty nicely. Yeah, that ain't no 375 horsepower. Or 470 torque, that's even funnier. I gotta say, the ride is smoother than I expected it to be. This is the first JL Wrangler that I've driven, and the only other thing similar that I've driven was a Gladiator truck, which I believe is built on the same frame. That was a 2020, that Gladiator, and it definitely rode rougher than this one does. I don't know if the suspension's been retuned for the 2022, or if the Wrangler suspension's set up differently, or the 4xe suspension's probably a little different because it's heavier. The ride is not smooth. You definitely still feel it, but it's not offensive. So the road manners are improved over old Wranglers, which is heartening. But you can pay less money for 24 other sport utility wagons that will drive better than this. But nothing else looks like this. So if you're in love with the look, I gotta say, the battery, it says it'll do like 21 miles on a full battery. It sure drinks it quick. And the wind noise is a little bit, let's see, that is 65, 63, 62. I can't even do the speed limit. Southern California, you're either stuck doing like, you can't ever do the speed limit. You either have to go faster or slower. Take your pick. Let's see, 69, 70. A lot of road noise. I drove a new Bronco earlier this week, and it was definitely more refined. The Bronco is a newer design, but yeah, the handling's not that bad on these Jeeps. Not bad for, let me clarify that, not bad for what it could be compared to an older one. So I guess I understand a little more now why people drive them. I still think it's just all down to the looks though, and I'm sure this video, if anybody watches it, is gonna get all kind of dislikes and,
no, it drives great, it's fantastic, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, fair enough. I can't say for sure which one of us has driven more cars, but it's me, so there you go. And yeah, you know, yeah, I don't really like it. I'm just gonna be honest about that. This car ain't for me. If you're in love with the look, or if you really want to go heavy off-road, this car is for you. But if you're just looking for like an SUV to drive, this car is $66,000. That is just insanity to me. You could buy a nicely loaded BMW X5 for the same money as this, and quite frankly, if you're not gonna go off-road, you'd be an idiot stick not to, bar none. That's all I have to say. Subscribe, don't subscribe, dislike, unsubscribe. That's my opinion. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.